They'll teach you about the battles, the generals, the guns, but they'll never teach you about the hidden economy that decides who wins a war before the first bullet is fired. And tonight, you're going inside it. Every war has two fronts, the one people see, and the one they're never meant to. The visible one has soldiers. The invisible one has bankers. Armies march on courage, but wars run on credit. And the country with the deeper pockets always walks away with a victory, and the truth buried. Until now, this story doesn't start with a nation. It starts with a meeting, a small room, 5 men, and a decision worth millions of lives. No elections, no democracy. Just money. They call it strategic financing. I call it the world's cleanest dirty business, because it prints heroes and erases victims. Before any war begins, someone calculates the profit. Not the generals, the investors. They check one thing. If this war starts, who gets paid? And the answer is usually the same people every time. The lenders. The manufacturers. But this time, something was different. A new player walked into the shadows. Someone unpredictable. Not a nation, but a syndicate. They promised funding no one else could match. But there was one condition. The war couldn't end quickly. A long war means long profits. Long profits mean long control. And long control means nations bow to you without ever meeting you. Governments call it national interest. The shadow players call it return on investment. The victims call it why. But money doesn't need a reason. It only needs movement, and war is the fastest way money moves. When the first shot was fired, the world blamed politics. But the financial documents told a different story. Someone had bet against peace months earlier. That's right. Peace was the real enemy. Peace pays nothing. Peace doesn't need loans. But conflict. Conflict needs bullets, fuel, logistics, reconstruction, and every step is a paycheck. One nation thought they started the war. They didn't. They were just the first to sign the loan. The public didn't see this. They were too busy watching the news funded by the same companies selling the weapons. That's how you control a narrative. You fund the problem. Then you fund the explanation. While families rationed their food, someone else was clearing billions in interest. While soldiers lost limbs, someone gained another yacht. And the darkest part. The war was designed to fail slowly, not fast enough to end, not slow enough to expose. The syndicate used a simple formula. Keep the conflict at 60%. Enough to burn, not enough to collapse. And it worked. Every month, nations borrowed more. Every month, the syndicate tightened the leash. Every month, citizens felt poorer without knowing why. Because wars don't bankrupt governments, they bankrupt people. Quietly, silently, perfectly. When nations run out of money, they don't stop fighting. They sell something else. Land, minerals, ports, influence. That's the real prize, not victory. Ownership. And when the war entered its 3rd year, even the generals felt something was off. The battles made no strategic sense, but they weren't supposed. They were designed to stall, because a stalled war is the richest war. A whistleblower tried to expose it. He disappeared within 72 hours. His files, deleted publicly, preserved privately. But one document survived a payment schedule for a war that hadn't even begun yet. That was the final confirmation. The war wasn't a tragedy. It was a business plan, and you are never meant to see it. Because if people understood who really profits, they'd stop fighting each other and start questioning the ones pulling the strings. The syndicate still exists. They don't appear in history books, but their fingerprints are on every conflict. Wars end, but the lenders never do. Most people think wars end with treaties. But in reality, they end with invoices, and those invoices decide the next 20 years. When the guns go silent, another war begins, the war for reconstruction. And that's where the real money lives. Roads, hospitals, power plants, all destroyed on purpose, because rebuilding them is more profitable than building them. The syndicate doesn't just fund destruction, they fund rebirth. At interest rates that turn nations into permanent clients. A nation celebrates victory, but the lenders celebrate ownership. Quietly. Subtly. Legally. They don't need soldiers, they have signatures. Signatures that enslave generations. The borrowers think they're saving their country, but they're selling its future, line by line, loan by loan, and the syndicate knows exactly when to appear. When a nation is desperate, when hope is scarce, and hunger is rising, that's when a miracle offer arrives. We can stabilize your economy, but the contract is a cage wrapped in gold. They offer billions, but take trillions through interest. And no one notices until it's too late. The true battlefield is paperwork, not trenches, not borders. A pen signs faster than a bullet travels, and its impact lasts much longer. Decades. Sometimes centuries. Nations change leaders. Governments fall. But debt survives, all of them. Debt is the syndicate's weapon. Interest is their ammunition. And default is the moment they take everything. But this time a small country refused. They rejected the loan. They tried to break the cycle, and within weeks, their currency collapsed. Their exports halted. The world called it economic instability. But insiders knew the truth. The syndicate was punishing them. No bomb, no invasion. Just silence. Silence from the global financial system. A nation without buyers dies slowly, and that's exactly what happened. Until they begged for help. And when they returned, the loan offer was still there, but now the terms were twice as brutal. The syndicate doesn't forget disobedience. They price Italiano, and the price is always pain. This is why no country truly escapes. They're trapped in a loop built decades ago, a loop designed to keep power concentrated. Politicians pretend to negotiate, economists pretend to advise. But the syndicate decides who sinks and who swims. They choose which currencies rise, which nations get access, which economies miraculously boom. And the public never suspects a thing because they see flags, not balance sheets. They believe in leaders, not lenders. But leaders can be replaced. Lenders cannot. When a war ends on TV, it continues in boardrooms. In contracts, in interest rates. Soldiers die once. Citizens die slowly. Through inflation, taxation, poverty. The syndicate controls it all, without stepping on a battlefield. That's the brilliance of their design. But one analyst discovered a pattern. Wars were happening in places where natural resources were untouched. Oil, lithium, rare earth metals. The conflicts weren't random. They were resource acquisition disguised as freedom. And the lenders were quietly financing both sides. When he leaked the documents, he wasn't silenced. He was promoted. They didn't need to remove him. They just needed to own him.